morning, everyone, and welcome to your morning report for Monday, the 3rd of November, 2025. This is Robert standing in for Mike. And let's get started with the domestic sit rep, because we have a lot to get through today. So first, a Washington, D.C. district judge, Colleen Collar-Catelli, ruled that President Trump's order to add a citizenship question to federal voter registration forms is unconstitutional. This case is continuing, and there are other parts of an executive order President Trump issued earlier this year on federal elections that are yet to be decided in this lawsuit. Also, two federal district judges, one in Rhode Island and one in Massachusetts, ruled on Friday that the Trump administration must use contingency funds at the USDA to fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The Rhode Island District Judge John McConnell also said the Trump administration must determine if there are other funds available to fully fund SNAP for the month of November. The Trump administration said they're not going to appeal these rulings, but they did or are going to ask these federal judges to outline exactly how or through what legal authorities the Trump administration can fund SNAP through. Also, ATC absences are surging, and over the weekend affected some of the busiest airports in the United States, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. And they said this disrupted flights at 35 airports in the U.S. on Friday, and this was the most widespread staffing shortage since the federal government shutdown began. And according to the FAA, some of the worst hit airports were on the East Coast, including the New York region, which saw 80% of air traffic controllers call out of work over the weekend. And after that, our National Air Traffic Controllers Association President Nick Daniels urged the Senate to pass a continuing resolution to reopen the federal government. And this is after last week, the Association of Federal Government Employees also urged Senate Democrats to pass that continuing resolution. And then over the weekend, the FBI and Harvard University Police Department announced that they are investigating an explosion at the Harvard Medical School campus. And they said that two men fled the scene after the explosion. And so far, the initial investigation points to the explosion being intentional and not accidental. And Harvard also said a University Police Department officer confronted the two men as they fled, but failed to detain them. And then finally, in the domestic sit rep, ICE is considering a bounty hunter program for illegal immigrants. This is according to an ICE request for information, or RFI. And they're considering implementing an immigration skip tracing and process serving program. And in this program, they would pay private contractors to locate illegal aliens, and they would assign bundles of 10,000 cases at a time to these potential contractors that would direct them to both locate and serve court documents and legal notices to illegal aliens, and also determine if they have changed locations since ICE last tracked them. All right, Jared, if you could come on and take us through the global sit rep, please.
Absolutely. Venezuela reportedly sent letters to the heads of state of Russia, China, and Iran requesting quicker defense technology procurement, so radars, missiles, etc., and also expanded military cooperation with China specifically. Now, when asked about the request, the Russian government spokesman said that the Kremlin is in permanent communication with Venezuela anyway, so they had received it. And then over the weekend, President Trump called on the Nigerian government to immediately end the killing of Christians or face aid cessation, and the U.S. going in, as he said, guns a-blazing, to end the persecution there. And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that his department is already preparing for action and that the killing of Christians anywhere must end immediately. And over in Taiwan published a report on weapons delivery specifically from the United States, finding that its land-based systems are delivering on schedule, but that the air and sea-based systems are delayed due to supply chain disruptions and production line adjustments. And lastly, over in Europe, Poland's defense minister announced on Friday that the border defense component of the territorial defense forces had just been approved, and that's going to result in 4 brigades that will man the border, specifically with border operations, along the border of Belarus and Russia, with the Polish border guard as well. So we're seeing a massive buildup on the Polish the Polish border there.
All right, thank you for that, Jared. Let's move on. We are tracking 70 protests today, and again, if you check the map, and if you're near any of these locations, and you see anything interesting and want to provide any updates on any of your local protests, you can do that on our website. And now we're going to move to the high side, where we're going to cover the Homeland Operations update. We're also going to talk about a growing effort to impeach Federal District Judge James Boasberg after the public revelation of this Arctic frost investigation during the Biden administration. We're also going to talk about a new poll where a majority of Americans expect political violence to increase over the next few years, and also younger Americans are increasingly supporting political violence. And if you want to get our analysis on the high side, you can join us at forwardobserver.com/trial, where you can get a 7-day free trial to get access to our high side items and our analysis. All right, Jared, if you could take us to the high side, please.